Bravely Default 2 is Square Enix's newest entry on Nintendo Switch, and despite its name, is the third official entry in the series. Let's be clear about this right away. This is a brand new story not directly connected to any of the previous entries, meaning that it's a fresh start for anyone looking to jump right in. And for that reason, it also feels like a return to form in many ways, giving fans something that feels familiar, but also being an entirely new experience. Seth is stranded on a new continent after a massive storm sinks his boat, with little to no idea where he actually is. He comes across Princess Gloria, the bearer of the Wind Crystal, who's looking to find the rest and correct the ills of the continent as a whole after they were stolen. This sets up a chain of events that has your party of 4 characters looking for those who got their hands on the crystals, but more importantly, allows your cast of rather charming characters onto their greatest adventure yet. If you've played either of the 2 previous games, you know that there's plenty of twists and turns afoot, and for a game rooted in so many things that we've seen in previous entries, let's just say that they pull it off once again. Each party member oozes with personality, and their accents just make them stand out even more, giving them a different flavor. This can be said for just about everyone you meet. They feel eccentric with a certain level of uniqueness. The more you play, the more quests you'll inexplicably come across. This allows each one of the characters to be fleshed out and actually have conversations among each other. That's easily some of the best standout moments in not just this entry, but the series as a whole. It grounds them, and soon you'll have a favorite or two. Visuals go a long way to help the game achieve this. The backgrounds are gorgeous and layered on top of one another, making things pop in the process. Long are the 3D effects, and they found something just as compelling. Regarding the actual character models, they did not bother me in the least. But even in the early demo days just last year, some people were finding problems with them. I actually equate this specific issue to the recent release of Ghosts 'n Goblins Resurrection. Some people have voiced issues with the visuals, but gameplay is all that matters, and in that regard, Ghosts 'n Goblins is actually great. This game is no different. Story and combat are king, and that should be the key driving factor for you to decide if you wish to check it out. Combat is still turn-based, but rounded to the individual character instead of the group as a whole, taking one massive turn. This lets you play around with the Bravely and Default systems even more than ever anticipated. Bravely lets you spend your character's turns freely, for up to 4 in total. Default lets you bank them for the future. You'll often find yourself defaulting to store turns to spend them on heals back to back, or braving to stack up debuffs onto one specific enemy. Just be mindful that enemies can use the Bravely and Default system just like you can, and way more freely than in previous games, meaning that they will abuse them when given the opportunity, and it actually gives the game a fair level of difficulty if you're not too careful. Enemies can be seen in the overworld, so you get to engage with them before any encounter. In fact, if you strike them before you engage with them, you'll get to attack first. As with all RPGs, some grinding is expected, but I never felt that the game forced me to do any of it as long as you engage with the jobs properly. Asterisk holders are the bulk of the boss encounters that you'll be facing, and they provide you with a real challenge deserving of a boss. They each hold a magical artifact known as an asterisk, and once they're in your possession, they give you an access to a specifically rare job. As the game progresses, the ability to stack main and sub jobs becomes available. This allows you to merge the abilities and tactics from one job, with some limitations, to another job, for a nice flourish of creativity that can lead to some interesting combinations as you level them up. The world feels very diverse, and locales have their own look with a vibrant soundtrack to go along with it. Everything from the dungeon designs to the overworld has something of a visual cue to tell you or subtly suggest to you that there's something there to interact with, or you should go this specific way, but it's not always very obvious. Side quests serve as something of a world building exercise as well. They give a reason for your team to interact more and find out even more about each one of them. Each task often varies, but it's worth stressing that doing them is completely optional for the most part. They give you some basic rewards, but more information on what's actually going on in the world than you'd otherwise known by just sticking to the main story. The day and night cycles bring the world to life as well, and there's something to be said about seeing the once just color changes and soundtrack shift from the earlier games now fully realized as shadows appear, darker palettes begin to take hold, monsters seem more menacing, and everything begins to feel a bit more serious. Bravely Default 2 certainly feels like going back to a favorite restaurant where you know you have a favorite dish. You know what to expect going in, and it truly feels like you're getting exactly what you want. To some people, that's exactly the game they expect from a series. but to others, they may be left wanting just a bit more. Nintendo Sphere gives Bravely Default 2 on Switch an 8.5 out of 10. If you're new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya!